Well, John Ridley had something to do with the script, which always helps, because he'd won the Oscar the year before for 12 Years a Slave. And I knew the story of Ben-Hur very well. And I'd seen the William Wyler version many times. I mean, countless times, because it's one of those movies that plays annually, like at Easter. And when I first heard they were making the movie, I was probably a little cautious, because you're dealing with one of the biggest, greatest movies of all time. But then I read it and I realized how important this film was right now. Not only as a lover of cinema, of someone who goes to the cinema and enjoys the experience of witnessing something like this, which is a true epic, you know, in scale, in the size, but also the story. What people forget about this story is with all the action, you could look aside from that and you can say it's a character piece, and it is, like you said, it's a story about a man's journey, and it's a journey through love, into hatred, into revenge, and somehow releasing that and finding redemption and forgiveness. There's this wonderful relationship that Judah has with Jesus in this movie. And Jesus isn't Jesus Christ, Jesus is a man, but he's just a man who shows Judah kindness in the moment where he needs it most. And that simple act of kindness takes him and carries him through. And I said, God, isn't that something? Just to be conscious of showing a simple act of kindness in the moment where someone needs it most. And a simple act of kindness, how far it goes. So it's like just how we treat our fellow man. Like just, you know, do good things, try good things, try to forgive, forget. It's a really good question, because I think very early on we realized we're not trying to top the last Ben-Hur. You can't top the last Ben-Hur. What you can do is you can find a new way to tell a great story, reimagine the story. And this was a story that I said, for all intents and purposes, the William Wyler version was late 50s. And it was, at that moment, this, like you said, this grand spectacle. There were thousands of extras, hundreds of horses. The first time anyone's seen anything of this size. And the style of acting, everything about it was very much the first time it had ever been done. So there's no way of topping that. What we had an opportunity, we saw, was to tell a great story in a way that hadn't been told before. And I think we've found a way into the story that is completely unique and sets itself apart from the Wyler version. That the same way plays homage to the beauty of Lew Wallace's novel, which was such an incredible novel, you know. So I feel most importantly to me is I'm a film fanatic, and I love cinema. And this is the reason I go to the cinema, this kind of movie. So I was like, to be a part of a movie like this, today when you do, I haven't seen this in 3D or in IMAX 3D, and I can imagine this in IMAX 3D will be mind-blowing. So I'm as excited to see this in IMAX 3D or go to the cinema and experience this as anyone else would be to go and experience this in the cinema. So that's kind of fun to me. Timur has a very specific style, which can sometimes be quite effects heavy. But in this, he wanted to strip that away and go back. So if he was very, you know, like in the first meeting I had with Timur, he was like, when you're on the chariot of the horses, you're on the chariot of the horses. If people are going to experience it, you need to experience it. Therefore, every time you see me or Toby on a chariot with 4 horses in front of us, that's us going round at full pelt with 4 horses. So, and the experience itself, you can see it, you can feel it, it's visceral. So that was very important to Timur. He wanted to take away, and everyone's expecting it to be very effects driven. It's not. There are obviously building up of the circus, certain things you have to do because there's no way of doing it any other way. But the real heart of the movie is there. It's all done. It's all in front of you. Nothing was built from that. It was purely the actors, the sets, what we were doing. It was real. So that was very important to us.